All right, so we're going to do a little intro here to get in the mindset of water quality testing. Then we'll go through looking at the water and doing our testing. So we started setting this lab up last week in the virtual session, right? You were supposed to create a water quality book. We will go over the requirements for that book later if you missed that. Otherwise, today we're going to describe and test the water quality from 3 different sources. We have rainwater, Johnson's Creek, and we're going to use tap water from the school.
This tap water?
Yes.
Is this tap water the safe one? This is the science one.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a regular sink.
Okay.
Yeah, but we could get it from the water fountain too if you want. It could be from anywhere in the school.
Somebody told me not to drink that water.
I've wrapped it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could though. I don't think it would hurt you.
Don't think. Yeah. Not a hike.
Wow. Okay.
It's true. So we're also going to look at some data and some information from the NSGS, which stands for the National something Geological Society. Science of Geological Society? I don't know. It's geology. They're the people that do water quality. And we're going to start talking about solutions to limiting contamination, right? I'm going to tell you guys some stuff that's possibly going to, no, it's off. You can touch it.
What's that?
That's possibly going to worry you about water a little bit because it is kind of worrisome. So we're going to predict which water is going to be the cleanest. I'm going to show you guys. I'm trying to see how much battery I have. I think I have enough. It is a vacuum, so it actually sucks air into it, I think, but it's not on. So let's predict which water is going to be the cleanest. So this is what our rainwater looks like. What do we think? It's mostly clear, right? It's a little yellowish,
Yeah.
but probably you wouldn't want to drink it maybe. I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, I can try it. But if I die, then yeah.
And then our Johnson's Creek water,
Looks like pee.
it looks like urine a little bit. It's
A little bit.
very yellow.
It's like
Can't really see through it. Right?
also
So
you also double bag. So
yeah, true.
That's
Well, he did that so it wouldn't spill for me. Mr. Ling brought this water for me. He's such a nice science friend.
Did he do it 3 days ago though?
No, we're going to have to wait till next week for that. Because I didn't have this either.
You came.
You checked me in.
So
You're welcome.
I went in there like you already checked in.
we have those 2, and then we're going to have our tap water, which will actually get filled up here in a second. Do you guys want to do tap water from the water fountain?
I got you.
There's a little mirror.
Water from my Sydney. That's big.
So we'll fill it up pretty filled up because we want it to be able to take some samples.
Spill it, right?
Yeah, don't spill it.
Oh.
Okay, so everyone should be predicting. I want to see in the chat whether you think Johnson's Creek will be the cleanest, rainwater, or tap water. Ian's eating, but managed to be the first person to type in the chat. Tap water is going to be the cleanest, Ian says, and Shelby and Gwent, a bunch of people saying tap water. What do you guys think, tap water?
I say rainwater.
Rainwater might be cleaner than the tap water.
I feel like rainwater.
Yeah, rainwater's
Evaporating, it's
coming
not
straight from,
in it.
right, it's coming straight from the water cycle. So there's possibility that maybe rainwater could be cleaner, okay? So we're gonna find out. So we have these water quality testing kits that are actually designed to be able to go into the field if you wanted to go out and test water, right? But I showed you guys this last time. It's just a little card that's gonna tell us, the color that we get is actually gonna tell us some information about our water quality. So we're going to be doing, well, you can pour a little bit out. So we're going to be testing our dissolved oxygen, our nitrates, our phosphates, and our pH, and our fecal coliform, which the fecal coliform takes 3 days, right? We're not going to get those results right away. We're not going to do turbidity, but some of you guys wrote about turbidity when you talked about testing the water for the government, right? Turbidity is usually, you actually take a disc that looks like this, so it has half black and half white squares on
Oh,
it,
I've seen those.
and it's on a rope, and you throw it in the water, let it sink down until you can't see it.
You gotta write a report on this, a water book.
So,
Y'all need to meet.
okay. So some people talked about turbidity. The reason that we're not going to analyze turbidity here is because we're not in the field, right? We can imagine, though, if we went to Johnson's Creek, because the water looks like this, right, which I don't even know if you guys can see it super well, but here's like a white background. No, you can't see it. We'll try to get a better image of it when it's in a cup for you guys, but it looks a little cloudy, right? I doubt we would be able to see that far.
Even
Right.
that doesn't look correct.
You can imagine if you were standing in that water, you would not be able to see your feet.
Oh.
Right? Whereas you can imagine too, if you've ever been on vacation to like the Caribbean, where you can see like
Oh, yeah.
10 feet down, right? You can see your toenail polish while you're walking.
Why would your toes be 10 feet down?
Well, they wouldn't unless they're 10 feet tall. But you know what I'm saying? You can see all the way to the bottom, right? You could see even further down, right? If you're like swimming, you could even see to the bottom. So was that the creek one? Yes.
No, they're like the same.
Taylor says responses might be slow. I'm online shopping for a 75% off sale that only lasts until 11:15. Okay, Taylor.
Same.
We support you. We support you. Okay. So we are going to have to organize all these test objects, but basically we have these test tubes that we're going to fill up with our water source. We're going to add these tablets, and our wonderful volunteers here are going to shake up the water with the tablet until it dissolves and turns a color. And then we're going to look at the data.
Are they all
Right,
the
and
same
decide.
tablet?
So these three are the fecal coliform. They're in a nice glass vial. They come with their own special tablet. And basically, we're going to only fill it up to the 10 milliliter mark. We're going to need to label which one is which. And then after 3 days, we'll either get a positive result, which is this disgusting yellow color, or we'll get a negative result, which is red. Right? And when we put the water in, you'll see it'll start turning yellowish reddish, and it'll look like a jelly weird thing.
A jelly?
Yeah. So most of us are predicting tap water will be the cleanest. We got a few people saying rainwater possibly. So in your book, right, or on a piece of paper for now, we will be filling in the data table here as we go as well. So you need to have your data table set up so that you have your 3 sources of water. And then on the top, we're having all the different tests that we're doing. So DO stands for dissolved oxygen, pH, phosphates, nitrates, and then fecal coliform. Right? And we're going to be writing in the boxes, obviously, what our results are. All of them we'll get right now except for fecal coliform, which we're going to have to wait. Okay, so these are our dissolved oxygen tablets. Good to know. I might have to find more tablets because we took these to the field and we just kind of shoved them back in bags. Okay, phosphates, pH, and nitrates. Okay, there's also this temperature gauge that it actually works, which is weird because it doesn't really look like a thermometer, but you could stick this in the water and find the temperature. Again, we're not really going to do that because this water has been sitting in room temperature.
Except for that one.
We could
Right.
check the temperature in my water bottle.
We could check the temperature if we want, but it's not going to be accurate. I'll also let you know, dissolved oxygen is not going to be super accurate either.
Wait, do you take the sticky thing off?
No,
No.
leave it.
You just stick it in the water.
Who could suggest a reason why dissolved oxygen might not be accurate if we're taking stuff out of a bag and out of a Tupperware?
Because you're moving it.
Okay, if we're moving it, we could be adding oxygen into the water,
Exactly.
right?
I just got a fish tank and it has a filter and I've been like watching it dissolve off.
Awesome, right? Johnson's Creek, do we think that water is just completely still?
No.
No.
No,
a
right?
creek's
Maybe.
moving.
It's probably moving. It depends on where it's from exactly, but it could be a current, it could be barely moving, right? But I doubt it's completely stagnant. Rainwater, probably not moving because I collected it in a huge bucket thing, right? And then I put it in this. But So our dissolved oxygen level might not be 100% accurate here either, but we're going to do it just to kind of see.
We have some bugs.
Oh yeah, we got some bugs and some dirt in our
Finals.
rainwater. So we're going to start doing our testing here. We're going to start with the rainwater as our first source here. And we have a instruction booklet that we're going to be following. So we're going to do multiple tests at the same time. Who would like to do dissolved oxygen?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay,
I'll do the pH.
so you're going to need, nope. I was trying to see if, well, it's like a gray sleeve. I'm like, do you need the sleeve? But no, you need it for nitrates, I think. Here's a cap. So you're going to submerge the tube underwater, get it completely filled up at least to the 10 milliliter.
You know when you're like in the back.
Right, you probably don't want it.
Bottles under it.
You probably don't want it all the way full because you are going to have to put a tablet in. Okay, right, so keep that in mind. So for dissolved oxygen, we're just going to be filling up our tube, pouring a little bit out. That's fine, yeah. Pour it back into the rainwater sample. And we are going to drop 2 dissolved oxygen tablets. You want to pop out some tablets for her? Into the tube. What is going on? Guys, please keep yourself muted because we can hear all of your background noise and it's really distracting. Okay,
Okay. Wait, you said 2, right?
so 2 tablets we're going to put in. We're going to screw the
In
cap on the tube and then we're going to invert it and shake it for about 4 minutes, right? You might not have to shake it for 4 minutes, but shake it until it's dissolved. Just keep turning it upside. There you go. Perfect. Okay, and we should be getting this some color range here. If we get it's completely clear at the end, that means there's no dissolved oxygen whatsoever. If it's like an orangish color, it means there's 4, and if it's like a dark pink color, that means there's a lot of dissolved oxygen. So that's fine. So while we're waiting for dissolved oxygen to happen, let's also, for our rainwater, do our nitrate.
Oh, that's like in cars.
And for nitrates, we are going to use this beautiful sleeve because you want it to be in darkness. So you're going to first fill your test tube up to the 5 milliliter line.
Oh, they got caught in bubble. Sorry, I'm really used to
No, it's fun. Water quality testing is fun, I'm telling you. Especially because you
the
just
little air
add some little
bubble in there.
tablets and you just get to move it around.
Like, they get
And
caught
then
in the
just
air
like-
bubble, and it's like,
And and you're going to put 1 tablet in, and you're going to put a cap on.
you already for tablet.
Oh, you have a cap already?
Like, they get caught in a little bubble, and then they look like they're flying through it.
You're so just mix your tablets.
It's like in Finding Nemo.
You can put
when
the
they
cap
go
on
through-
first so it's easier to put it in there.
It's like
Oh,
Finding
don't-
Nemo when
yeah,
they're with the
keep the
turtles and then they
tablets
jump out.
So we're getting our nitrate test going, and we're going to get our phosphate test going, which is very similar
Oh, hey, that's me.
to the nitrate, except you don't need the sleeve. You're going to fill it up to the 10 milliliter line, add 1 phosphate tablet,
Okay.
put the cap, and start inverting.
Okay.
Should I just leave it like this?
And you're going to want to
Shake it.
do the same thing. Invert, up and down, up and down.
They
Yep.
don't really shake. very
Yeah,
well.
you don't have to be like
can't really-
violently shaking, just moving it
They
so
just
that
don't
the
really
tablet's
move when you
dissolving.
do that. They stay in
Hers
place.
will probably shake a little better because she doesn't have as much.
Right, there's only 5 milliliters in there. Right, so the nice thing is that some chemist has actually made these tablets to work with these small samples of water, which is great because if you have to collect a huge sample, right, like I once with my class when I lived in Brooklyn, we collected water from the Hudson River and we actually had to throw buckets down on ropes and pull it up, right, to get the water out because you couldn't really go down to the water.
I mix this in front so I know.
Sure. So that can make it hard. If you have to have a huge sample of water, right, it's going to be really tiring and time consuming to have to keep pulling that bucket up. So
Someone says our water quality book going to be made with the slides presentation.
it can be, yes. That's fine.
Taylor, you got this.
Did your sale go well?
I have 3 minutes. Please hurry. Thanks.
All right, and at the same time, I'm just going to go ahead and fill up our fecal coliform container here.
You thought there was so much more in there.
I know. I was like, oh, it's filled. No, it's not. Okay.
Ooh, perfect.
Add that tablet in there. We are gonna have to label this guy. So
Should we
don't
just put
forget that.
poop water or something like that?
Well, we gotta label
Oh,
rainwater.
Rain.
Exactly.
Can we spell rain wrong?
Spell it wrong.
Yeah, like REIGN.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
Like, I got the reins.
All right, so half of collecting data in the science field, right, is waiting, right? There's a lot of waiting going on. We're just flipping these tubes, waiting for a color change.
Ooh, good job, Taylor.
Wait, which
Proud
one's
of you.
Taylor? Is it this one? I don't know who's who.
Who's Taylor? Raise your hand.
Taylor, raise your hand.
Okay.
Why don't I know my classmates?
I know, right?
Okay,
Well-
wait.
Sorry, my video doesn't work.
Oh,
That's-
can't see Taylor.
Darn.
Rude.
Taylor,
But I'm
I
good.
can't see you.
So people at home,
See.
what we're doing right now is just waiting to collect the data. We can also see that this fecal coliform tablet has started dissolving, right? It has like these red dots on it and is like this yellowish color.
That's
So it's
good,
reacting.
you know?
Yeah, it's not giving us much information though, right? Because we want it to either be red or yellow, not both. So we gotta
It's
wait.
more yellow than red, so right now it's looking pretty good.
Are you sure about that? Yellow is bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yellow means poop, okay?
Oh wait, is my temperature done? How do you tell?
So
It's 18 degrees, bro.
Yep.
Wait,
So that's chilly.
No,
Well-
it's not 18 degrees.
Celsius.
Okay.
It's like
You
so
would be
room
frozen.
temperature in Celsius is about 22. So it's a little colder than room temperature. Which makes sense,
Which
right?
makes
So it's
sense
a
because
little
it's
colder.
from the drinking fountain, which is chilled.
And we would hope that the drinking fountain is colder than room temperature.
Let's shoot.
I think she's describing the sale,
Oh,
Maybe.
that was like 5 minutes ago.
I'm assuming. Okay, so let's see, how's our
I mean,
our
it
dissolved
was like
oxygen test?
literally 3 minutes ago, but
Looking
Okay.
kinda
It's
pink
okay.
almost.
Okay,
There's still the
so it's still dissolving. Okay, we'll let it keep going. But
Mine's
it's turning
getting
a color.
Teeny tiny.
Yours is turning blue. Okay.
Blue? What?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's turning blue.
I see clear.
It's turning teal, man.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
also, I know this has nothing to do with the sale, but I got like 3 things for free as well as add-on items. So
Man, you should have.
Dang. Why didn't you
Taylor,
invite
I'm
us
really
to
glad
this?
that we have you here to keep us entertained while we wait for our data.
I'll give
Yeah.
you
I
my
got
address and you can just hit me up. You know, if
honestly, I don't think I've been this happy ever. I have never appreciated math and emailing so much.
Matt?
If I did not get the email for this sale, I probably would be paying like $300 for this stuff,
Oh,
and
gosh.
that's not cool.
No.
All right, so we're still waiting on those results. And we are
You
going
guys here don't understand though.
to also have to do pH. And we're going to have to do this for the other water sources, right? So this is going to be kind of a slow process because we have to do it one by one, which is kind of annoying because I don't think we have any more tests to do.
that's okay. We have 41 minutes. Wait. I can math.
Would someone like to also do pH at the same time?
I
will
got
do it.
you
This
because
one just
mine's, like,
dissolved.
done.
Yours
This
is
one
done.
just dissolved.
Mine's
so.
done.
You guys are going to
That's
fight over
fine.
who does pH?
I want to do
So I got to see how many tablets for pH.
You should just do 2 at a time because you can just make it color.
You could check it and see if the tablet's dissolved.
Yes, dissolved.
Okay. So then we'll
Pink,
say
blue,
it's
and
done.
yellow.
Okay, so pH, you're going to do 10 milliliters, 1 pH tablet.
Okay.
Okay, so let's,
Wait, are we still doing?
yep, still doing rainwater.
Wait, what did I do?
You did rainwater, but you did nitrates, yes.
Gotcha.
Or no, you did phosphates.
Oh, gotcha. So we.
So
Uh-huh.
let's,
Still in the same or
nope, let's look at it. So let's look at our data here. We might need a white surface to help us compare. But here is, I don't know how well you guys can see the color of this, but this is our dissolved oxygen, right? It's not clear, which is good. That means there's some oxygen in there. This is rainwater, right? And if we hold it up to our scale, what do you think? Maybe 2?
In between,
But
so it's
you
gonna be-
also moved it when you were showing that.
A little bit. That's true. That could be a source of error. But I would say it's probably maybe 2,
Man, this
right? Somewhere
sucks.
between 0 and 4. So we're going to say that our dissolved oxygen
Oh,
level
green color?
I know.
for our
It
rainwater
dissolves really fast.
is 2.
That's not
So let me go ahead and go into my PowerPoint here. All right, rainwater dissolved oxygen is 2 ppm. We had a great question, which was, what is ppm?
It's parts.
It's parts per million, right? Which means that if we have 1 million parts, 2 of them are oxygen.
Is that?
That's not very much, but
Yeah.
surprisingly, fish don't need a lot. 8 parts per million is enough for a fish to be happy.
Hi, Mr. Bryant.
So let's then look at our nitrate test.
Do you want like a sheet of paper?
You can hold it up here. So nitrates, it's a little bit off white, right? It's not quite white. So
Looks
what
like
would we
yellow.
say? You think it's 5 or maybe a little less?
Less than 5.
I think like 4.
Like 3 or
3 or 4? So let's say 3. So our nitrate level for our rainwater was 3 parts per million. We also have our phosphates, which turn a blue color, right? It looks pretty blue here. What do we think the reading on this one
I'm gonna
is?
say a 2. A 2.
2?
Well, actually, I'd say 3. Kind of in the middle.
It's pretty dark, right? And
Yeah.
that's actually kind of concerning that there's so much phosphates. But I'll give you guys a hint as to why I think there's a lot of phosphates in this rainwater.
It's because of the chemtrails, man.
It could be.
Oh, yeah, this
maybe because of the force field.
So phosphates, 3 parts per million. And then our pH test,
Oh, here. I'm gonna say it's an 8.
That's what I said, man.
Yeah, it's an 8. Well, you're kind of covering the 8, but I mean, there you go. Actually, a 7.
It's darker than a 7,
Wait,
but
wait.
lighter than an 8.
Yeah.
so
Hold
it
up.
turned green. So we're stuck between 7 and 8. What do you think? Maybe it's
7.5.
7.5,
Look, though.
Yeah.
Look, but like it's like
It's a 7.
right? So this is not the most accurate data collection possible because we really do have to kind of match a color, which can be hard. Okay, let's go with 7.
yeah, look at that.
So our pH is 7, which what is the pH? What is the pH of water supposed to be?
7.
So that's
0.5-ish.
7. 7, so that's amazing. Our pH is 7. That is a very good sign.
And that's for rainwater, man.
That's for rainwater. Now, usually we would expect rainwater to be acidic a little bit, right? Because of ash, because of pollutants in the air,
And the chemtrails.
and the chemtrails, sure. But in this case,
Government's
it looks
spraying
like it's 7, which is pretty cool. Okay,
us.
so these are all of our tests
I'm
for
going to put lights under them.
the rainwater, right? Fecal coliform, we're going to have to wait, but it's working on changing. You can see that the tablet is sort of no, you can't shake this one. It's becoming more gel-like as it starts doing the reaction. So now we're going to dump our tests out because we're going to do them again, except this time we're going to do it with the Johnson's Creek water.
But don't we have to use different tubes because these ones have
We're going to rinse them.
Well, you gotta move the Johnson.
So, I know, it's going to be hard to get into this bag, but we'll figure it out.
We can. Oh no, we can't because then it would, dissolved oxygen.
Yeah.
That's
We don't want to pour it, but all right. So we're going to rinse those tubes really quickly because Sydney pointed out a great point here, which is we are going to have some contamination in there, right? We don't want any traces of the rainwater ruining our results.
That's
Johnson Creek is falling.
Johnson. Oh,
That's okay. It's not open.
John!
Johnson's Creek's falling. Okay, I got my chemistry
River's fault there.
virtual session appearing here. So next we're going to be testing the Johnson's Creek water. We're going to do the same exact process for all 4 of these tests, right, and the fecal coliform. And
I just like the sound. Like
so do you guys remember how to do your test?
Yes.
Okay, so dissolved oxygen. Remember, you're going to need 2 tablets of the dissolved oxygen.
Okay.
And you're going to need,
I'm going to figure out how to.
hey.
yeah, I think I might hold the bag for you guys.
So
actually.
okay, so you're the one with the sleeve,
sleeve.
and you get 5 milliliters, and you get 1 of these.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. Good. We're gonna move on to doing our testing. If you need to find your test in here to review, it's there.
Okay, so this one is.
We're gonna open up.
Is it okay if it's a
Johnson's
little bit
Creek.
broken?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, sweet. Okay, there's a little bit broken. All right, that's okay.
Okay, here's our Johnson's Creek water
Okay, so
that we are getting into. It's in a bag, so it's a little hard to
Okay, so phosphorus.
access here for us.
Very cold.
Very cold.
Is it
Very cold.
Is it by
Well, remember, coldness adds dissolved oxygen, so that could be a good sign.
Okay.
Don't move your
So
elbow.
Shelby asked, no ppm for pH? No, pH does not have units, right? The units for pH is nothing.
Okay,
You say the pH is 7. That's it. There's no units.
one phosphate.
Great question.
So this is gonna be one phosphate.
I'll do the call for.
This one,
Done.
oh, I was like, where's the tablet? And fell out. I was really confused first.
So I'm hoping, guys, in the spring that we'll actually go on a field trip to a water source and do this live at a water source.
We should do this.
Not Johnson Creek.
At,
Not
like,
well, we could pick a different one.
Okay.
we should go to like
Butler
a dam
Creek.
and see what the difference between like where a dam
No,
is
cousin.
versus where the others.
Yeah, or we could go to like the Columbia would be a good place.
Or we could go to Bonneville because there's
Bonneville.
oxygen's in that water. 'Cause it's moving.
It is moving.
Well,
We actually tested the Columbia last year and it was surprisingly clean. Although I don't know if you guys have ever swam in that water, it doesn't feel that clean. It feels like
I have.
slimy.
Yeah.
we
it
should
does.
check like different little like lakes.
Yeah, so we're thinking about that because in the spring, I
We
would like
could've-
for us to do some kind of field trip, right, where we're going to be comparing water of some kind.
Oh, we could like go to this really nasty place.
We should see.
Yes.
Yeah.
But by those apartments,
Oh yeah.
like with the apartment together.
There's a
Okay,
little
we
pond
also
on my old
need
apartment.
for, which test are you doing? Phosphate? And we're doing nitrate, and so we need pH as well.
I got
right?
you.
I can do it.
I want to do it
I
though.
just want to close this bag. so I can
pH.
hold it.
Okay, so pH is 1. Why do you break in half? That's not okay.
I'll start checking this too.
Oh, thanks.
Suzuki game.
Okay, so now I'm going to
This is not
seal
time
our
sensitive.
Johnson's Creek water up.
All right.
Try to. Not that I need to save it. I guess we could just dump it out, but
I mean, unless
we
you
want
want to like get. Oh, you could get a life straw. Not the life straw.
I know what the life straw is, but I don't even know. Well, I guess I would drink it with that.
Yeah, I would try that. You should get a life straw and then just drink random water.
That is very yellow. It's looking more yellow than green this time.
Ah, the pH is already becoming yellow, which is telling us what?
It's more acidic,
It's more acidic.
except for it's kind of matching 7 right now. So
Maybe it's not more acidic. We'll see. We'll let it keep dissolving.
I think.
I'm hungry.
This is. I'm gonna label those in a second. Okay, so we're just busy shaking up our tubes here,
You know.
and fun times. And then we're gonna start getting our results.
See, it'd be a lot cooler if y'all were here in person. Don't just gotta watch us mix.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully, it's motivating you to come on the field trip in the spring when we go do
I'm
some.
not even in this stage, so
Well.
Well, that sucks.
Then the next best thing is watching it happen.
You
Okay.
know what?
true.
pH, it looks like we could
You should move.
identify it, right?
Get a plank.
So pH for Johnson's Creek. What do we think?
I'm thinking it's a 7.
Yeah, we're 7. Yeah.
It looks like 7.
I don't see a.
Doesn't look yellow now.
Oh wait.
Which is that surprising to you guys? That water
Yeah.
does not look clean, right? It looks yellowy brown, like
It
there's
looks nasty.
sand.
Yeah. Wait.
Meanwhile, the pH is a nice solid 7. That is pretty interesting.
Could we possibly get another beaker and then put some water and then put like a little bit of lemon juice in it and see if the pH changes?
Yeah, it will. It'll go
I know,
acidic.
but like just like look for a different color because if that's the same, I'm in.
Well, we'll see. The tap water might not get
Or
same.
we can check this water from my fridge.
That's probably like perfect 7.
I want to check.
Anybody else's test done, you think? Dissolved oxygen?
No.
Yeah.
I still see the
This
tablets
one
every day.
is phosphate? Nitrate.
Wait.
So,
yeah, phosphate.
I think the dissolved
Phosphate.
oxygen one takes longer.
yeah, it does. So phosphate, it looks pretty clear. What do you guys think? Like no phosphates in there?
Yeah.
Interesting. 0 ppm. That's a good sign, right? Nitrates. What do we think?
Taking a 5. Jeez, it goes from a 5 to a 20 really quick.
I know.
It's 4. It looks a little bit lighter.
So it's not quite clear, but it's not super dark. So maybe a 4 we're thinking.
Yeah.
And you're right. It goes from 5 to 20 to 40.
Yeah.
Right? So all of a sudden it's like super high, which if it was pink, it would be very concerned. So our nitrates is 4 ppm.
We'd have to test it.
Yeah. If we got 20 then or 40, we would be very concerned.
Why?
Call someone.
Because that means too that there's probably a lot of algae. Right? Like Mr. Ling got this, so I didn't see what it looked like where he went, but I wonder if there was algae growing nearby, maybe, right? Yeah. So we can already start rinsing these if you'd like. This one. So we're gonna rinse our tubes, and we're still waiting on our dissolved oxygen, and then of course our fecal coliform is going to take 3 days.
Okay, wait. So
But that's the
do we
rainwater
have a
one.
shark?
Yeah, I actually have a.
Did you get the one
Massive
for the?
Oh, there's a room there. What's in here? Shower?
Nah.
for if you get chemicals in your eyes or on you.
Oh, the little yeah. They have them in
Okay.
every science.
So we got some masking tape here, so we can label our fecal coliforms. If you want to make one for Johnson's Creek. And
This is done.
tap. Okay, it looks like our dissolved oxygen for Johnson's Creek is done. And we see a little bit of pink, not too much. What do you guys think for the level?
I think it's a 2.
Like a 2. Yeah, probably.
2? Okay, so we're seeing pretty low dissolved oxygen, but it's not 0, so that's promising. There's at least a little bit of oxygen in there. So we're seeing about a 2 on the dissolved oxygen. Okay, not so bad. And then now we are going to do our tap water,
This pen
which
is terrible.
most of us predicted the tap water would be the cleanest, right? So we want to think, what numbers are we expecting here? Well, oxygen in our tap water, not so important, right? Fish aren't living in it. pH, we
That you
definitely
know
want to
of.
see a 7, yeah, that we know of. Phosphates and nitrates, we should see 0. There should not be any phosphates or nitrates in tap water, right? And there should definitely be no fecal coliform. Because I know if there was fecal coliform, you guys would not be drinking tap water.
Or
And-
have E. coli.
Yeah. You know what's interesting too? I actually, one year I did this lab with some of my seniors in Brooklyn, where they all hated the tap water. They were like, tap water's so gross at our school. No one drinks that. So I made them do a blind taste test of 5 different kinds of water. And one of them was the tap water. And surprisingly, most of them preferred the tap water over like Fiji and Aquafina and all those like bottled
Really?
waters.
I prefer
There's-
tap water.
And they were very disturbed that
There's-
they liked the tap water the best.
Well, there's like this
Okay, so
weird taste to Ben water.
So now we're gonna fill our
It's not
tubes
as-
up again. You guys are gonna do your same
Minerals.
tests. You can actually pour it out here from the spout if you'd like. That's probably the easiest way to get the water in there.
Nitrates, just whatever.
I'll let someone else do it
That's
first.
yours.
Because I don't trust myself to not spill it. So
Okay.
first person go.
Here, do you want me to
I'm
pour it? You got it? It's okay, it's water if you do spill it. Could be much worse. So we're gonna go on to our tap water,
Yeah.
and we are hoping that the tap water is clean. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever drinking out of the water fountain at the school.
I have not. I don't really keep track if I drink water at the school.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of 1s. People have drank it, so we're hoping here that it's clean.
All right, y'all. If it's not,
You're gonna find out right now.
and you're gonna.
And you're
go
still alive, so no, it's all right.
for now. So I'm
Yeah, if we
guessing-
find out there's something wrong with it, I wouldn't recommend drinking it.
Yeah, don't drink it again.
So the good news is this building is pretty
unless
new.
You want.
So there's probably not gross pipes here, but that could be the biggest concern is that pipes can leach,
Oh, like the
Into the
Corbett
water.
pipes. Those.
right? And you can taste it sometimes, like you can taste in the tap water. It has that like minerally taste.
That's what it tastes like in
Go to
bed.
Barlow's pool and drink out of the.
Why would you drink?
Um,
There's a
yeah.
fountain in there.
Shelby says at my old school it tasted awful like metal.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
like
What's Shelby's last name?
Hyatt. Yeah. So
Sorry, Shelby.
you're right, Shelby. Water can have different tastes, right? Depending on what kind of piping there is, right? And also the source of the water. Because some water has more minerals and stuff dissolved in it. A lot of times that stuff is harmless. It just might taste weird, or you can even feel difference in the water, right? Sometimes if you shower in like different parts of the country, you notice the water feels like softer or harder.
I don't.
If you go to the south, the water is very different there.
I was born.
And the
in
tap water
Arizona.
tastes gross there. It's too much chlorine over there. But anyways, all right, we're doing our last testing here. We got lots of inverting going on with our tubes. We got our fecal coliform labeled. And actually, while we're doing that testing, I'm going to go ahead and quickly talk about Johnson's Creek a little bit. So I went to this water quality nerd conference, really. A bunch of scientists presenting about their work at Johnson's Creek. So just to give you guys an idea here, this is the watersheds of the Portland area, right? There's a bunch of them, which makes sense. We have a ton of water around, right? Johnson's Creek watershed is located here. It's really big. It covers a huge portion of Gresham, right? A huge portion of Portland, mostly in the southeast. And then there's a bunch of other watersheds around. So I don't know, I think Mr. Ling got this water from somewhere around this area, from Johnson's Creek, right? But regardless, the water is probably similar
I think this might be work.
on all, you know, parts of it. It should be similar, the water, right? Unless there's a certain problem going on. So that's what we're talking about, like, geographically. Now, in this presentation that I saw, there was some disturbing information, right? Many compounds found in water do not have a current level of safety, right, or a standard. So like all these things that we're testing here, nitrates, phosphates, there's a level of safety. If it's above a certain number, that's unsafe, right? In a 10-week period last spring, they found 44 compounds in Johnson Creek water. A lot of them were pesticides and herbicides, right, which are going to come from spraying for insects.
By a farm.
Right? Yeah, there's a lot of farms over there. But they also found pharmaceutical stuff in the water, antidepressants, right, in the water. And yeah, well, because people are, if you're taking medicine and you're like releasing waste into the wastewater system, some of it could end up getting into that creek, right? So that's something to think about. There could be other things in the water that we're not testing for right now that we don't have safe levels for, right? There's also some recent studies being done linking animal behaviors to these mixtures of compounds in the water. So when shrimp had a certain level of antidepressants and I think it was pesticides in the water, they weren't eating and they weren't moving around very much, right? Because they were being affected by these compounds. And think about it, a shrimp is tiny. The tiniest amount of antidepressant is going to affect the shrimp, right? It doesn't need a lot.
Well, maybe it makes the shrimp happy because it's not depressed anymore.
That could also be, in some cases, if it was antidepressants mixed with something else, that actually made the shrimp more active.
Okay, so this is like,
Right? So it was kind of dependent on what the compounds were and what their mixtures were.
Or
So in
because
this case,
this is
an
less
animal
one.
and not human, it could have negative effects on the shrimp or any other
yeah.
animal.
So when we're thinking about water quality in Johnson's Creek and other water sources, right, we're really
It's not correct.
not thinking necessarily about drinking this water. Hold on. So we're not thinking about drinking water from Johnson's Creek, right? That's not the goal here, but we are thinking about the animals and plants living in Johnson's Creek, right? They are going to be affected by these compounds that are found in the water, right? A lot of times people do not think about how what goes down the drain ends up in the water, right? That happens, and we're not always thinking about that. And sometimes that can be, you know, detrimental to ecosystems, to animals, to plants that are living in these water sources. So let's go back to filling in our data. That was just my little spiel about how there's a lot of stuff in the water that we haven't even measured. So what is our dissolved oxygen level for our tap water?
It's right here, and it's like
It's way below 4. It's like a 1.
A 1?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a 1.
Okay,
I'd
we've got a
maybe-
little bit of pink.
maybe a 2, just because.
Let's say 1.5.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, 1.5 ppm for our dissolved oxygen. Our pH of our tap water was 8.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Our pH is 8.
It's almost basic.
It is. It is basic. So that's pretty close to actually to seawater, right? Seawater has a pH close to 8. And then our phosphate level, there are some phosphates in it. We did get a tint of blue here. What do you guys think for level?
I think it's
It's almost- it's-
0.5.
I'd say 1.
It's too light.
Too light to be 1 maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll say 0.5 for our phosphate. Our nitrates.
Use their
we
own
are
tablet.
Oh, we're redoing nitrates.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then our fecal coliform is in the process of reacting.
Tablet.
So we'll wait here on our nitrates. But that is interesting about the pH, right? That the pH of our tap water is slightly basic,
See?
right? And that
Told
could
you.
be because of the pipes, right? It could be because of where the water is coming from. Is a pH of 8 going to hurt you? No, right? In fact, we drink things that are pHs of like 4 all the way up to 8, 9-ish. So it's not going to hurt you, but it's not ideal, right? We would want our tap water to be 7.
There you go.
Okay, our nitrates. We do have nitrates in the tap water.
Fine.
5. Ooh, this tap water is not looking good.
Okay, see, I told y'all don't drink the water.
We actually have more nitrates in the tap water than in Johnson's Creek and the rainwater.
Don't do it.
Bring
Right?
a water bottle.
So
Don't fill them.
that is pretty strange. Now, of course, we did one test. Can we, with 100% certainty, say that our data is accurate?
No.
No, right? We would want to test
3
this
or 4.
at least 5 times probably before we would say, okay, yeah, it seems like this water is this level, right? So this doesn't mean necessarily that the tap water is not safe, but it is slightly worrisome, and it would make me want to test it again.
Yeah,
Right?
just
Because
bring a water bottle to school.
it should be cleaner than that.
We need to talk
Okay,
to the principal about
So fecal coliform is not going to be done for quite a few days. And actually, I think I made this due on Monday, so I'm going to have to change that. So what you're going to turn in for this, right, is, oh wait, what did I have here? Yeah. You're going to turn in your water quality book, which we'll go over what that has in it again in a second. If you did it on paper, you can take pictures of it, or you could do a video of you flipping through it, right? That's fine. And then you're going to answer these 3 conclusion questions. Which water source was the cleanest? How do you know? Use the data to support your answer. What is worrisome about many of the compounds found in Johnson's Creek? How can we control for those, if at all? And then, are the factors we tested for enough to know how safe our water is? Why or why not? Right? So pretty self-explanatory questions. We're going to go into the DBA in a few moments here, but I wanted to show you guys what this looks like on Canvas to turn in. So if you go into your earth science class, did you just say you're already lost? I'm like, go to earth science. I'm lost. Can't do it. Where's that? Can't do it.
What
All
is
right.
Earth
Go to
science?
modules. And
What website are you on?
in this module 1, at the very bottom, you will see water quality book,
Wait, are we
and-
gonna be able to do this? We're at school. Or do we
Yeah. because it's not due till next week.
with the DBA?
No, you're gonna do the DBA too. Don't worry. So it has everything listed here that you need. So what your water quality book should include is a cover page and title with at least 1 picture, a table of contents, dissolved oxygen description, pH description, phosphates description, nitrates description, data table that we did today, and then your conclusion questions, which I reprinted there, right? There is going to be a code word that you can include to get full credit, right? If you don't know the code word, you can get a 90%. If you're completely lost because you missed last week's virtual session, right, which this would be slightly confusing, go back to virtual sessions and labs, watch virtual session 3 to catch you up on that. So I'm going to edit the due date, and then we're going to go into our DBA.
You should just say next year.
So our due date, let's see, we're not going to have the results until probably Monday or
So next
Tuesday.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's good. Next Thursday, the 26th, we'll make this due.
You're welcome, guys.
Really, the only reason that I'm giving you that much time is because we have to wait for the fecal coliform test, right? And you really can't answer those conclusion questions until you see the results. So when those results come out, I will email you and let you know, right? And I will include a picture of what they look like.
They asked, is it found in the module, your document, to know where, what, something I don't read. What to turn
Oh, she got it. Okay. More like last week, yeah. Is it the same code word we had last virtual session? Oh no, it is
No.
not. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys what it is.
Do we have to fill this out? Or
Well,
do
we
already
could
see-
change it if you want. I was gonna have it be this.
No, that's lame.
Okay, type in what you would like it to be. It's got to be school appropriate. And don't say it out loud because we don't want people to know.
It's too basic, but like it's there. Do we have to think of it right now?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Okay, you guys can think of the one for next week. How's that?
No, wait, we got this. Just say.
Okay. Our code word is going to be the most simple code word possible. Came up with by our lovely hands-on
Me?
lab crew.
No, just me.
So it's in the chat.
I'm okay.
So that is the code word that will allow you to get 100% on this. Now, if you're not ready to do, so simple, yes indeed. If you're not ready to do the DBA right now, that's fine. But if you would like to do the DBA right now, which I have this open multiple times, why is that? I'm gonna post the link in the chat to the document. You guys who are here in person, you're going to just tell me your answers in a second.
Oh,
So don't worry about it.
cute.
So in the chat, I am posting the DBA link to the Google Doc. If you'd like to participate in the DBA, go ahead and put your name in a box. It's going to be 3 questions.
Right when she's asking.
That's okay. You guys can just chill for now and do it at the end.
We're answering it.
Oh, that means I can go pee.
Okay. I was like waiting.
Okay. So we're in the chat and we're in the DBA doc here. I see 3 people. I'll give you guys a little bit of time here to add your names. And then we're going to do the 3 questions just like last time. Make sure it's your own words, right? You can look at what other people are writing to get some inspiration. You're welcome to look at your notes, look at Google, right? There's no rush to write the answer as quick as possible. Sure, that's true. And we can dump our water as well because we're not going to need to use it. This will give you points for the 1.08 DBA. That's 100% correct. And then that way you don't have to worry about setting up an appointment with me, right? This is going to count. So it's due on Monday, technically, right? But I know that by now you should have been done with most of the lessons, and the questions I'm going to ask you, you guys are going to know. Okay? So our first question for our DBA is, what is the difference between weather and climate? And the document might lag a little bit because
How many people?
because there's a bunch of people in it at once. Uh-oh, gotta get my charger. Did you grab my charger? Yeah. Ian, go up to the very top of your screen, and there should be an option where you can click exit full screen, and it'll let you leave. Great, I see some great use of vocab here. Weather is day to day. Climate's recorded for many years. Weather's in the geosphere, climate's in the biosphere. Okay. Nice, I see some nice answers. Looks like Ian got in good.
What is this?
It's just the packaging that protected these fecal coliform files.
Oh wait,
There's some in there, yeah. There might be.
yeah, there's
Yeah, because we used the ones from this one. So
Can I do one for my house?
No.
That's rude.
we got to save them for next year.
for next
I
year.
would like to point out that I told you guys I'm not in the state when I am clearly in the state. I'm in Lake Oswego. I'm an idiot for thinking that I am not in the state.
Wait,
Well,
like,
how do you know, Taylor? Maybe we went to a different state,
wait, like
I
Oswego.
knew it.
like southern Portland.
Oh wait, what's that one?
It's really rich. That's all I know. They're
Yeah.
like really
But
rich
it's
here.
really nice over there.
Yeah, yeah.
can-
I went to get a coffee and I was bombarded by this French man trying to sell me like pastries and I was really scared. So
All right, looks like most people are done with the first question, so we're going to go on to the second one. If you're still writing about the difference between weather and climate, keep it up. Our second question is, wait, I forgot what question I was going to ask. Give me 1 second. Let me look at I have it written down somewhere. Because now I'm forgetting what I was going to say.
Oh, that everyone pronounces it.
Okay, now I remember. Okay, so what is one impact
It's not the Bahamas.
that is non-human on climate change? So what is a non-human impact on climate change? I'm going to write that as well in the doc. Oops, that's chemistry. Okay, so what is one non-human factor of climate change, or one thing that causes climate change that's not from a human? Yes, if you can explain. Would rain count? Yes, explain it to me. Can people in different states go to Miwa? I don't know. I think you can if your parents live here. Not really sure.
if your home address is set in the Portland metro area and it's one of the districts of Miwa, then you can go to Miwa from anywhere. But if your address is actually out of state, you have to go to a different one.
Thank you, Taylor. So I see some great factors here. Volcanic eruptions, right? That's a huge one. Ultraviolet rays. Yeah, sure, Ian. Just the fact that we're trapping those ultraviolet rays with the atmosphere and Earth. That could count. Volcanic eruption. Humans would be deforestation. Thank you, Vitaly, for taking it to the next level there. Rain, because we're working on our reasoning there. Volcanic eruptions. Temperature. Taylor, could you elaborate on temperature a little bit? Solar output, sure. All right, thanks, Devin. I'll add a box for you. Did you get the first question, Devin? Ooh, Earth tilt. I like that one. Earth tilt, volcanoes. Okay, oops, I spelled volcanoes very incorrectly. Okay. Okay, Devin, can you type your answer in the chat that you want me to put for your first one, the difference between weather and climate? Okay, see some really good answers, people working on their reasoning. Oh, sorry, Devin, I missed it. Thank you. I'm like looking at so many different writings right now. I'm like, overwhelmed. Okay, the final question is, what is one thing? Actually, let's do two things. What are, uh-oh, it's freezing up on me. What are two things you learned about water quality? Could be really simple answers here.
Sorry, I had to eat some nuggets.
That's fine. We're about to do the DBAs for you guys in a second. Everyone's finishing up. Finishing up in the dock.
What? I'm taking the temperature of my hand. I'm so amused with flipping bottles of it.
So 2 things you learned.
She's taking the temperature. Oh, I dropped it.
Thanks, Devin. I'm adding yours into the dock.
Oh, wait, bye, Ernie. Bye, Ernie. Nice meeting you.
Okay, and if you finish your questions, right, and you're 100% satisfied with your answers, you're welcome to leave.
Don't wait.
We will not have a virtual session next week, right? I'm going to send an email about it. I'm going to be at a wedding, so I will not be doing virtual sessions next Friday. We will have a little reflection check-in assignment that should take you about 5 to 10 minutes, right, depending on how deeply you're reflecting.
Can I go to the wedding?
So as soon as you're finished with your answers, you're satisfied with them, you don't have any questions, you're welcome to leave, right? Thank you guys for being here, participating. Hopefully you got to see some water quality testing in action. And like I said, in the spring, we're going to try to do this live at a water source.
Sure. But we're still cooler.
Well, it's more fun in person. I think.
At least you didn't say funner. My stall might come in and hit you. The stall. Oh, yeah. So my hand is 32. Well, I've been rubbing my hands in person. But
Well, actually, that's close because Celsius for body temperature is 37. Right, so that's pretty close.
I am a
And
little
think
chilly.
about it. You wouldn't be, if you're taking your temperature, you wouldn't take it in your hand, right? You would do it in the ear or under the armpit.
But you can also
On
take it
your
on your forehead with that weird.
I mean your mouth.
Yeah, or your mouth, but don't put that in your mouth.
Yeah, I'm not putting it in my mouth.
Don't put it in your ears either.
I can put it in my jacket.
All right, guys, I see a few people still looking for stuff to write for the third question. Totally fine. Take your time, right? I am going to end the session, and I'm going to let you keep writing in the document for a couple more minutes. So take your time on filling in those answers. And if you have any questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, go ahead and email me and let me know.
Or you could have been here and got the answer right away.
And I will see you guys in 2 weeks.